Hi, Laura. Hi, Laura.
I'm still muted. Okay, sorry.
Nope, got you there. You're good.
I'm good now.
Perfect. Just get the holding page up for us. Can you see that okay from your end?
Maybe I was checking something else. Yes, that's beautiful.
Perfect. Okay.
I know you can't quite hear it because I've heard her before, but I got a cat next to me on the floor snoring. She's just,
Having a good old snore,
she
relax.
is. She's having, yeah.
And where is it that you're based, Laura?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow. What time is it there?
8 o'clock, almost 8 o'clock.
Oh, lovely. Nice and
Yeah.
early.
Yes, yes. We actually have some we're just starting a global volunteer group that's based on sustainability outreach. That's their whole
Oh, nice.
focus. And I shared this link with them, and one of them came back and he's in New Zealand and he said, "Are they recording it? Because that's 1 a.m. for me."
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You know, I said, I'm not sure, but you definitely it's not a requirement, so don't feel like you have to get up. So
Yeah, no, it is being recorded, so there shouldn't be any issues there.
it's great. It's great. Do you are your meetings normally during the day, midday like this?
A lot of the presentation style ones are usually around this time because this would be lunchtime for us here in Ireland.
Okay.
So it falls into kind of great. We can do a bit of CPD points and or PDU points whilst working, so to speak.
No, that's
Um,
great. That's great. And you know, it's important to listen to what works in your community. So,
yeah, and I think look, we do definitely do evening ones as well. It's just I think based on Katie's preference here and others that this was the best step forward for this one to be a lunchtime. So I was like, no problem. Just
oh no, it's I was very active with the Atlanta chapter and they're a little bit all over the map. They used to have but they used to have about close to 20 events a month.
yeah.
So they were quite active and they would do a breakfast meeting once a month and it would end up being about 8 or 9 times a year. It wasn't every month.
Oh
But
wow.
they had a breakfast meeting and then they had a separate location for a lunch meeting and then they had a monthly dinner meeting and they were all in different parts of town so we could satisfy different members commutes.
Yeah. It's a bit of fun trying to do that, isn't it?
It was a challenge because people, would come back and you can't make everybody happy. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that is
it's
the
tough.
truth. That is very much the truth.
Yes. Hi, Jackie.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good, good. I can
Jackie.
go ahead and turn my camera on. And, but I was lucky enough to go to the Lim in Dublin a few years ago.
Oh yeah. Oh, you weren't at the our 50th party, were you?
In Pennsylvania? In Newtown
And
Square?
in Dublin, the one in Dublin.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I don't remember. Is that bad?
So Daniel, if you want to keep everyone in the lobby until we have Katie and
Just turning my
the
camera on here. Yeah, absolutely. I was just
yeah,
thinking that. So
and what you might
absolutely
want to
everyone
do
can-
is just do a note on the chat. If they're in the lobby, they can't see the chat. Sure, they can't.
I do believe they can.
Okay, so you might
I'll
want to
drop a
just
note
tell
in
them in the lobby that they're we're going to start in a couple of minutes when we have everyone on board.
Yep, I'll do that now. Just to-
So just look out for Tom and Katie.
Yeah, they should join straight in. They shouldn't go into the lobby.
Okay.
Based on how Peter and I had set this up the other day.
Okay. So then the only thing I would suggest is I would do a text or a call to Katie or Tom because we're at 12:59.
Give them a note here. I was on to Tom. He just sent me an updated deck 2 minutes ago, so
Oh, did he? Okay, fine.
I have faith that he's coming.
Oh no, that's grand because when I did your role, not your role, but your job for the other event, I had to do a different link and I got it all back to front. It wasn't a pleasant experience for everybody. But it just shows I'm human.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nothing wrong with that.
we often prove it every day, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. So I think a lot of people think these virtual meetings are easier than the in-person,
Oh no.
and there's actually so much coordination that has to go on, and
Yeah.
and you have to get the WhatsApp and the text messages going in the background to talk to each other.
Yeah,
'Cause
no.
you can't just
It
kind of go
is.
behind the curtain and nudge each other.
No, exactly. I'm starting to get a good few people in the lobby there, but well, Katie's joined from her external. I will just let her in.
One thing I forgot to ask, Daniel, do we have the PGU code?
I will follow up on that. I don't have it
Okay,
to hand.
so
Hey, Katie. Hey, Tom. I'm just allowing your mic and camera there for both of you.
Good afternoon, Katie and Tom. Hi.
Very good,
hi,
thanks, Daniel.
Tom.
Can you hear us, Katie?
I might just ping her on our side here just to make sure, because she might have been
I allowed her mic and her camera, so she should be able to
okay,
join in.
great.
She's just on mute at the moment from what I can see on this end. Got about 12 people in the lobby so far.
Oh, good. Okay.
You guys can see the PowerPoint, correct? I'm still sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so once Katie joins, we'll be able to kick off there.
She's gone all together now and Tom's gone on.
Yeah. We'll give them just a minute here.
Sorry,
Tom,
no, I'm just pinging her separately here. I'm not in the same office as her, just trying to but she's just going to, she has a Wi-Fi issue just currently. She's just going to rejoin.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for her and we'll.
Yeah, but she's just saying if you can go ahead anyway.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep. Okay, I'll click my camera off and I will admit everyone and then.
Okay.
Over to you, Jackie.
So hi everyone, we're just waiting for a couple of people more that are joining into the lobby. So if you just maybe give us 1 more minute and then we can start. Okay, so it's 13:03. Daniel's in the background. Hi everybody, my name's Jackie Fagan. I'm the president of the Ireland Chapter of PMI. And today we are looking gratefully to open up and to launch our Sustainability Community of Practice. I'm really excited for us to do this. Daniel, do you want to record this session maybe?
Yeah, so I actually have this recording started for everyone's awareness.
Brilliant. I still see people joining in, so maybe let me know when I can start. They seem to be coming in fast and thick.
Yeah, just give it 1 minute here.
Okay, so right, in the interest of time then, we're going to start. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for taking your time out to join us here at the launch of our Community of Practice for Sustainability. We are really excited about this. We've a good lineup for us for today. The whole idea about why we wanted to connect the Community of Practice. Today we have myself introducing them. We have Laura Davison, who's from PMI Global, who will talk to us about the approach to ESG and a couple of other things. And then our head of Community of Practice, who is currently having Wi-Fi issues, will be joining us hopefully in time for her piece to talk us in depth about the Community of Practice. So maybe on to the next slide there, Daniel. So that's just Laura. I'm glad they put that up. Your title is the PMI Manager of Social Engagement and Impact, but there was something else there that you're also, Laura, isn't there? There was another bit of your title.
Oh, it's easier to say Manager of Social Impact. My official title is Social Engagement and Impact.
Thanks very much. Okay, so that's who's going to be on the webinar today. We're hoping it'll be somewhat an interactive session. If you have any questions at all as we go through it, please put them into the chat. It will be managed and monitored by the team. And if we don't get to them, we will definitely look to actually respond to them in upcoming. So let's talk about the Community of Practice. We currently have a Community of Practice, basically is a group of like-minded people on a specific topic. And we have a very successful Community of Practice around PMO, which was started last December, 12 months. And it is run by the head of the PMO Community of Practice, Jackie Glynn, who's also our past president. And that has various events throughout the year where they talk about specific PMO community activities. So the whole idea about having the Community of Practice for Sustainability is there's a lot happening in the PMI community and there's a lot happening in the chapter community. So it's very hard to get time out to actually talk about the sustainability topic on its own. And that's why we've decided we want to do a Community of Practice on sustainability. This is going to be the first of a number of events that will be happening throughout the year. As I said, led by our Community of Practice, Head of Community of Practice for Sustainability, which is Katie Flood. We are very thankful and grateful. This is Community of Practice. It's been sponsored by EY. So thanks very much to EY for sponsoring this. And some of the things that we're going to look at is sustainability and ESG mean a lot of things to a lot of people. But one thing we do know for sure is that the whole idea of sustainability, to keep the planet viable, we have to bring sustainability to the fore. So more importantly, it's going to be a huge, huge topic as we start to evolve more into projects and sustainable projects. So there's a couple of things we need to look at. One, how we as project managers manage projects and look at the sustainability topic in managing those projects. How we in the Ireland chapter look at how we look to validate or put a baseline on a carbon footprint and how we improve that. So that also needs to take into account. And then the third thing is, which Laura will come in, is looking at PMI globally. where we are globally with PMI on the initiative from PMI globally, and where they are in terms of sustainability and ESG initiatives, and what we can do to follow through in some of those that they are doing. As part of this community of practice, after this session, what there will be a survey that will be sent out, because this is your community. There's no dictating here. What you get out of it is what you put in. So very much Katie will say when she comes to talk about it, the survey wants to know what you want to get out of this community. It's only as good as its participants. So as I mentioned, put the questions into the chat. Just one other bit of logistics. The PDU code will be given out to you as participants after the event. And if you've registered, you will be registered automatically, but we will get Daniel to send it out to you after the event. So on that note, then, I'm very happy to hand over to Laura, who's going to talk us through a number of different items around it, not least the difference between sustainability and ESG. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you so much, Jackie. First off, thank you for this opportunity. This is very exciting for me to be here and to help you kick off your sustainability community of practice, partially because I am doing the same thing in my role with building a community for sustainability, and I'll be able to, it's just starting, it's in its infancy, but I will share that information with you. Actually, we have a global volunteer outreach team, and I did invite them to come to this, and some of them, one of them's in New Zealand. He said it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so he's going to be looking for the recording, but there are so many people that are interested in this. And first off, a little bit about me. I am formerly a practitioner. I am 20 years as a project manager, PMP, RMP, volunteer at the local chapter. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. And I used to say that I drank the Kool-Aid, the PMI Kool-Aid, because I volunteered for so long and had so many roles and did so many things. I'm a past president twice of the local chapter. And now I say I make the Kool-Aid. So I'm on this side, and I'm going to share, my role is really about two different areas. One, I work with the partnerships that PMI has. PMI is a massive organization when you peel back the covers of the relationships and what they do with organizations and academic areas around the world. So our Education Foundation has partnerships with Junior Achievement and Actis, African Leadership Academy, organizations like this that they partner through. The Education Foundation is expanding what they do with social impact. And my role is really to find those intersections. How can we look at these organizations that have this corporate social responsibility and have the discussions and actually lead to the activities of what could we do together that we can't do individually? So if we put the energy and the resources together between some of these organizations with Project Management Institute, what can we do together? So that's a big piece of it. And the other piece that I'm actually mostly excited about, don't tell my boss I'm mostly excited about this one because it's, but I am, is building that community around sustainability. And we've already had 3 webinars focused on sustainability. What does it mean? How do we do it? What are those conversations? How do we start bringing project managers into this? So as Jackie said, let's start off with the difference between an ESG and sustainability. A lot of people, organizations, articles, especially when you read articles, it can be confusing because they actually make it sound like these are the exact same thing. They don't. They support each other. And so we're going to talk about what that really means. ESG is a framework. It's really about understanding how an organization supports risks and opportunities related to environment, social, and governance. Now, the environmental piece, PMI doesn't, what we do will support the environment, but our sweet spot is really social and governance. That environment piece is really how an organization performs as a steward of nature. The social piece is really that internal and external community and culture. It's really the DE&I piece. It's the relationships and reputation of the organization. And the governance piece is that's truly where PMI lives the most, because that's the systems, the internal systems and processes that deliver the projects. And those are also those systems that apply consistency to an organization so that you can get the routine and the cadence going so that you can be efficient and you can deliver those projects. So that community piece and the standards piece, social and governance, that's where PMI sits the best. But think about this as ESG as an impact that the company has on its employees, its customers, and its community. So it's important. It is about that financial framework and the financial view. Can I get the next slide, please? So sustainability, there's a lot less on this one, and yet it's a much more complicated topic. So how does that work? Because ESG is financially based, and it's a metric that relates to investing. Sustainability is really what are we doing to meet our needs without compromising the ability of the future to meet their needs. Okay, it's a very simple sentence, but when you really break it down, you're thinking about everything that we do that impacts people, planet, and profit. And when you start looking at our projects and you start thinking about people, planet, and profit, then you start knowing what questions to ask, how to build that into the framework, how to make that happen. So ESG is really a system, and sustainability is an outcome, if you think about it that way. We're really starting that conversation. We're beginning to ask those questions. Are we hiring vendors that practice fair trade? Do we have good DE&I practices within our organization? Are we paying equitable wages with what we're doing? When we discontinue a product, how do we recycle it? And when we think about the materials that go into our new product, are they regenerative? Where do they come from? What are those things? It's the basic conversations all along the process that help us meet sustainability. Next page, please. And why do we really want to do this? It's really because these are statistics that show us why it's competitive. It is competitive to be sustainable. Organizations are willing to, and people are willing to pay a premium for for sustainable products. And also the employees prefer companies that have sustainable business practices. The generation that's coming into the workforce wants to work for for-purpose organizations, and companies want to have that mindset internally in their organization, and the investors are choosing companies that are making these decisions as well. So next slide. And that takes us to the talent advantage. There is a talent advantage in doing this as well. I mentioned the generation that's coming in that wants to be for purpose. They're not just looking for the benefits of an organization and a paycheck. They want a purpose behind it as too. And the organization needs to align to affect positive change. And the professional development opportunities should also align with developing skills that help us be more sustainable. And I'll talk about the skills as we get into that in just a minute. And when people are satisfied in their jobs, I think we've all had, maybe not all, maybe all's too broad. Many of us have worked in organizations where we didn't have the right challenge. It wasn't a good fit. The level of engagement wasn't there. And you find other grounds. You go somewhere else. You look you find greener pastures because it's not satisfying your needs. So this is it is important to pay attention to what organizations are looking for, but also what the workforce is looking for too. And as Jackie said, this is the need. This is a need for the world. It's a bit of an overused expression, but there is no planet B. There's a plan A, plan B, plan C. How do we mitigate? What do we choose? What are the alternatives? There is no planet B. We have to make these decisions. We have to have this and be more advantageous in this area. Next slide, please. A few more statistics that support ESG and sustainability. CEOs, leaders, organizations are really putting this top and center. They are definitely looking at why we need to do this, how to put it up front, and these are the statistics and numbers that show it. So next slide, please. And this is really, this is information taken from the PMI ESG Knowledge Hub. There will be a link provided so that you can get access to this. They relaunch the material periodically and they're updating it. It is an ESG hub, but it includes so much more than ESG. It does include sustainability and it does include social impact as well. It is a knowledge resource hub, and also projectmanagement.com. We are reinvigorating blogs and information that are out there. So if there's information you want to share as you build up your sustainability community of practice, I'm going to be encouraging other communities of practice to also put information there, so you'll be able to share and grow your information and do that as well. So this is a bit of a plan for actually implementing sustainability and ESG in your organizations. And it's really, if you think about change management, it's very similar to that. It's forging a mindset, developing how we think about something and that approach, and beginning the practices that are going to lead us to the outcome that's desired to be more sustainable. And that's in our projects and also our products. ROI is still important. Our decision makers, our stakeholders, our investors are keen to be looking at the profitability of what we're doing. What is that return on investment for making these changes, for going in this direction? Ultimately, there are studies that show that there are efficiencies in being more sustainable. It takes a little longer to get there, but there are efficiencies that happen in your practices, and also when you start using the materials, and when you have less turnover in your organization, that impacts your ROI as well. And when you start developing the skills to get there and you empower people to be stronger and to do more in what they're doing, it just makes it easier to move forward. Next slide, please. We'll dig into this just a little bit. Project managers really, when you think about where you live in the organization, you have the opportunity to work all across an entire enterprise. And you can ask those questions and start those conversations and begin that process where you're asking questions that relate to sustainable projects and products all across the way. You're supporting the strategic vision with each project and initiative you lead, and you can have that influence of sustainable projects. And that's really where, because you're in the position to see all across the enterprise, you're able to highlight those opportunities, give visibility to them, and align with the ultimate vision of how to do that. So next slide, please. This is that ROI piece that we're really talking about. And ROI is more than financial. It is that competitive edge that we talked about. It's leveraging the talent that you have and the people and keeping them, but it's also making a better product that is better for our planet, that is more attractive to the consumers who are willing to pay more for that product. There's a cycle that happens when you start looking at doing that as well. And all of this supports sustainability. So if we keep thinking about the definition of sustainability and meeting those needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs, that's really where we get into how we're doing that. Next slide. So develop and empower, this really makes me think about professional skills. And I'm not going into wind management or climate change or renewable energy or even sustainable fashion. So what does that really have to do with me as a project manager? The key skills for ESG and sustainable projects are data analytics, critical thinking, and problem solving. Project managers already do those things. If you start looking at this through the lens of sustainability, through the lens of how it affects people, planet, profit, how it affects the organization related to those ESG metrics and framework, then we start actually applying a sustainable lens to our projects so that we can get those outcomes. So it's not just about the jobs that impact the climate, because the needs and other products that we make are not going to go away. Next slide, please. So action. What are we going to do to take action? PMI is dedicated to enabling change makers around the world to have a positive impact on society through delivering sustainable projects, but also we have an Hours for Impact program. It is a campaign to invite people in PMI, outside of PMI, all over the world to contribute and make a pledge of service to support the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. PMI is a patron sponsor of the United Nations Global Compact, so we are committed to supporting these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Last year, we had a goal of asking the world to pledge 125,000 hours of volunteer service supporting these goals, and we had over 180,000 hours pledged. So this is an ongoing opportunity for us. It matches, and it's outside of the work that we do. It's actually the volunteering that we do for that area. Next slide, please. So this looks a little more familiar to project managers on the screen. If you go ahead and click next, Den. Thank you. Thank you. This kind of helps us reset the expectations in every phase. And, you know, I've said the people, planet, and profit, and I've talked about, you know, the sustainable outcomes. These questions, as we enter each phase of a project, help us get to those sustainable outcomes. And if you start breaking it down with this is at your highest level, is this project going to generate economic value over a sustained period of time? Sustainable projects are not just about the planet. It's also about the strength and the longevity of the organization. And these two go in hand as well. So yes, we want to save the planet. Yes, we want to do that. And that's good for the organization. But let's make sure our processes, our framework, our communication, our systems, what we're putting in place is going to work over a sustained period of time too. And is this project contributing positively to society? Or is it at least limiting what's the negative impact? And I think putting that question on the end is important because not everything we do contributes positively to society. We're not all in organizations that are going to do that, and that can be a confusing question. So if we think about it well, does it at least not make it worse? And also, you know, when we're building our projects and we're building our plan and we have our communications and we're working on that, let's work to improve those internally. Let's make those more efficient. Let's have sustainable processes and practices within our organization. And the same thing with the last question, is the project contributing positively to the environment? Also, in your organizations, do you have real coffee cups instead of paper cups? Are you using wooden stirrers instead of plastic stirrers? Do you have a big water jug that you have refillable water from instead of water bottles? These are the decisions that we start making to save the planet as well. So this is how we turn intent into action, by really breaking it down. We're going to track and we're going to measure the process, but we're going to ask the questions all along the way. Next slide, please. So really, what's the strategy? It's really to make sure we're benefiting the people, planet, and profit by aligning our organizational goals. It's recognizing and implementing sustainable practice. Let's don't just make this a conversation. It starts with a conversation, but it results from actions. So let's implement it. And that's what project managers do best, is they actually make things happen. And then by doing these things, we're going to attract talent because we've proven that we can do it. And we've proven that it serves the purpose. And never forget, it's the small changes that lead to big impact. It's the small things that we do that attract the attention, and eventually, sometimes it takes a while. I want to catch myself on that one. So it can take a while, but everyone is responsible for this. So nobody gets off easy. We're all responsible for making this happen. And that's all for me. I want to turn it over to Katie now.
Thank you so much, Laura. And, you know, it's so great. Firstly, I have to commend you on the speed at which you managed to get through the volume of content there. And we will share these slides. It's lots of really good information in there for everybody. But I think you really brought out the pertinent points and really brought to life the role of the project manager within sustainability. And I think as we look forward now, it's going to become more common in every project manager's role to have to deal with sustainability, whether that's through ESG reporting and implementing changes as a result of what's being found in that reporting and trying to improve the numbers and targets we're trying to achieve in companies, or whether it's in products and services and creating sustainable products and services, or delivering events in a sustainable way. And probably that third aspect of whether you work in that industry space around energy and sustainability, and then your projects are even more so meaningful in that space too. So I think we can see, no matter where you're sitting on, if you're a project manager, there's an element of this that's probably going to come down the line to you. So thanks so much for that overview, Laura. And if there are any questions for Laura, please pop them in the chat there, and she can probably type back in as well while I'm talking through what is going to be our Ireland community of practice for sustainability. I'm really excited about this. We've been trying to get it off the ground through last year, and now we're finally officially launching it today and looking to expand. As Jackie said, we really want to hear from you. We want to know what you want from a sustainability community of practice. This is our community of practice. We're just here to facilitate and support you, bring the right content to the table. So let me talk to you a little bit about what we're going to do this year. And if you have any additional thoughts, please add them in the chat. And after that, we will send out a survey to the wider PMI and see what everybody wants to get in this community of practice and pull people together. So what is a community of practice? Probably the easiest starting point. It's really a place for us to come together actively to share ideas and thoughts, and really to drive innovation and solve problems together. So that's the base purpose of any community of practice. But you can see with sustainability being so fledgling and early, really in its maturity in project management, that we really need to do that and help each other out. So some people will have come across programs where they've already had to deal with impacts from ESG reporting, or they're being asked by their CFO to look at how will we report against this, how will we have an annual process around reporting for ESG, how will we measure metrics around this. So project managers are already starting to pull into that space. So how can we share that learning with each other and support each other? It is true, something like a community of practice. Hopefully, we'll be bringing together people with a common interest and sense of purpose around sustainability. So, you know, ideally, we also want people who are really actively engaged in making the world greener and improving things from the standpoint that you can and from what you can do in your organization and your project management roles. We don't expect it to be massive. We don't expect absolutely everybody in the PMI to care about sustainability, and that's why we've created the place and space for people to come to. But we also want to encourage people to get involved and encourage people to be a part of it, and to see it, right? So it's a space they can come to. We want to build that sustainable future, but community of practice is around incubating something so that then it becomes the norm and becomes a standard. And we will be looking at emerging technologies, how to do the ESG reporting, the types of tools and templates that you can use to do that. And we'll be bringing those through from the hub that Laura mentioned, and that content will grow and grow, and we'll be pointing you back to that. And we have some content links at the back of this pack to guide you to where to look. So if we can get to the next page, please, Daniel. So what do you want to get for the community of practice? If we, look at the conversations we've already had, people are asking to understand the new trends, want to build an awareness of those and share what the future trends are going to be, so you can kind of be ahead of the curve. We want to help create best practice, and the tools and templates will come together with that, and then share and learn from other experts. And I think if you look at kind of the reporting that's already done, and this is on that ESG hub as well, you'll see some of the reports there, but 58% of leaders are saying that climate change is not addressed when they're looking at planning and programs. And that's a big percentage, right? And it's concerning as well. So we're not actually looking at the impacts of that. And 70% then say that they've yet to assess how climate change will impact the company's operations, supply chain and customers. I mean, that's a phenomenally scary number, right? The trend we are seeing is typically people are looking at it from a cost saving perspective. So that, you know, it's almost, there was a trend there of greenwashing for a while, and now cost saving is the reason for sustainability, and it's definitely an outcome of it, but actually the purposeful outcome of being more socially responsible and ensuring that our products and services are green, or events are being run in a sustainable way. I mean, the onus is on all of us to try and participate and support that, and we need to figure out how to get it on the agenda, the strategic agenda in organizations, to make sure that all organizations are taking their role within that. And typically what we do find is ESG regulatory reporting tends to be the starting point. It tends to be the driver, because you're mandated to look at something, and then eventually we start to see that flow into projects and programs on a bigger scale that will really create those changes that we want to see. On the next page then, please, Daniel. So how do you think, as a PMI professional, this will impact you? And I think this kind of dovetails a bit with what Laura was saying, but here are some of the key things that we see happening day to day at the moment that will impact you as a project manager. So sustainability and the KPIs around sustainability will become a key KPI for all projects and programs. So, you know, we all look at our red, amber, green against our resourcing and our costs and our benefits. Now it's also going to be sustainability on every project and program, and that will come in as standard. All companies will be required, and I know Jackie referred to the legislation coming through the EU, to do ESG reporting, to do it annually, and there will be tighter controls put around that as we move forward. Many companies will take on sustainability projects, whether that's getting their company to net zero, having a net zero carbon footprint, and whether that's creating more sustainable products and services, which we are seeing in trends that millennials and beyond, more junior and younger folks, are looking for that and are requesting that as a requirement in all products, which is great to see, right? Because it means the education flow through has happened in the schools, and the rest of us kind of more mature folk, let's say, need to catch up and follow that trend. So energy and supply chain will be directly impacted. That drives cost, that drives the need for cost saving, but also drives different ways of delivering energy and supply chain to organizations. So you will see more solar panels, you will see battery charging, wind farms connected directly to things like data centers. Things like that will allow for different ways of delivering energy and whole energy systems around factories and solutions that will drive projects and programs around sustainability. Running sustainable events, and we will have an in-person sustainability event as well, and we'll have the conference, which we'll be looking for in the PMI. We'll be looking to drive as much sustainability into that as we can, to try and make it a sustainable and green event. And I think encouraging people to do that in their daily meetings, reducing waste, and looking for ways to deliver in an energy efficient and a green way is what we'll be trying to support. And then you'll also see that workforce education and training needs are going to increase. So making sure that people are aware of how to engage in sustainable ways of working, how to engage in sustainable project management will need to be trained out across the organization. And then the number of stakeholders is probably the last key obvious impact we're seeing. So you have the chief sustainability officer may become another C-suite on the board of your programs, if they're major programs, or within the board of a business. And then the follow-on roles through that, or sometimes, like we're seeing, it's quite commonly at the moment, ESG is landing with the CFO as a financial reporting aspect, and that will start to grow out from there, but that will become a key stakeholder above and beyond the financial manager of the program. So Daniel, on the next page, please. I talk about how you can incorporate sustainability into your projects. So engaging those stakeholders, making sure you've got the right stakeholders engaged in your program, somebody who cares about sustainability, the people that are having to worry about it in their day job, how do you engage them to show that your project and program is actually delivering in a sustainable way, and that you're measuring those metrics and getting those metrics as a standard. So that's the first place to start. And these are intended to be easy things you can do right now before sustainability and ESG matures. These are the things you can do today. We want to take a zero waste approach, and a lot of companies have already done that in their buildings, you know, having the different recycling bins and things available. But actually, when you're in a meeting, ensuring that you're not leaving stuff behind, that you're taking leftover food out of the space and into a canteen with a note to say, you know, this will be fresh for the next 3 hours. Please use it. We can also look at every component in the value chain, and I think that's really important, whether that's a process you're looking at, whether, you know, a great example I would use is when we do enhancements to certain applications, and you can see that the memory is spinning because you put in some SQL, you know, query that's making it look at way too many tables and way too many things. Well, we need to do that in our processes as well, and we need to find out how we can really make things lean and sustainable, and as I guess get back to simple as possible. We can understand that there are trade-offs among people, planet, and profit, and I think that's really pointing at there's a wider value case for projects, right? It's not just about cost saving. It's not just about upgrading a system or reducing FTE cost. There's a lot of wider benefits that we can bring to the table, and that you can see as well. There's a trend for social value to be a part of programs. So the project team may not be delivering the social value, but as a team and a set of people together, you can go out and do something great for the social environment that you're in. You can contribute to a charity, you can do charity day events and team building events, painting a house or something like that for somebody elderly in your location. So things like that can be done to really bind a project team, but then actually taking social value into account. The risk assessment piece, then ensuring that, you know, you're going to achieve the sustainability outcomes, and ensuring that you're looking at everything from a sustainability perspective. And the last one's investing in technology and balancing that trade-off in technology, the efficiency and cost of running that technology, and making sure that you're actually making sustainable choices and building on sustainable technology choices. And those are the types of things that you can do today in your projects that will already, you know, make you be thinking in a sustainable way and moving towards sustainable project management. If we look at the next page, we can hopefully talk about what we as a community of practice are going to start doing for you. And we really want to create really tailored podcasts that will actually allow you to listen in when you're out on a run or out on a walk about sustainability, and kind of educate yourself. And a lot of those, there's a few available already on that ESG reporting tool and hub that Laura referred to. We'll do some more training and education, and there's certification that you can achieve specifically around project management. Will help support that through the Green Project Manager Level B. And then there's templates. So again, using the ESG Hub, we can guide you towards templates. And the last one, member spotlight. So if there's anybody out there that's doing something, you know, this is your community of practice. If there's something you're doing you'd like to spotlight, we'd love to bring you in and into one of these webinars or events and talk about what you're doing, so we can publicize that and help encourage others to get involved. The last slide, I think, then next, please, Daniel, conscious on time. So we're going to have a number of events. We've got this webinar happening, and then we've got another webinar in June. In September, we'll be looking to do an in-person event, and we'd love to see you all come together, and we'll look at some collaborative ways of working for those sessions. And then we'll look to do something on data analytics and sustainability in the October timeframe. In June, we will focus on ESG reporting because it is the starting point and it is the focus from the PMI content. But as we outlined, we're going to do a survey, and we want to hear from you what you want to know. It's our community. We can shape it and build it as we like, to really make sure that you're getting the most from it. And we're excited to work with you now as we set that up. There is some content at the back of this pack with links that you can use to brush yourself up on your sustainability skills. So please feel free to go into those when we share this pack with you later. I haven't been watching for questions, but is there anything there in questions, Tom, that we might want to address?
Just looking through the questions now, I think one of them, I think some of them are really indicating kind of where people are at. They're only kind of getting their heads around the topic and trying to, you know, I think people are hungry for more information, particularly on, as you called out, on the standards side of things. You know, is that standard suite of metrics that are going to be reported upon? And I think that seems to be kind of a bit of a theme that's coming through. People are just curious about, you know, where the focus is going to be.
Great. Well, I guess that, means that we've looked at the right next topic then. So that next webinar will focus exactly on that ESG reporting, looking at what are the metrics you need to be looking at what are the requirements from a regulatory perspective, and how does that flow down into your projects and programs, and what do you need to be considering there. So that's the topic we'll take to next, and we might try to share some content on that in the interim. So it's a good call out. Thanks, Tom. Anything else you're seeing either in the trends there or as a question? Oh,
Again,
Jackie, I think you're speaking, but you're on mute. Tom, sorry, go ahead there.
Go ahead, Jackie, if you want to come in there.
No, if there's any other questions, Tom, if you want to cover them first, and then I'll come in.
And again, there seems to be a good bit of interest on the on actually the kind of the training side of things. People are curious about where they can gain access, and kind of if there's any scope to get that delivered within Ireland as well.
Okay, so what I'm really hearing, guys, and thank you so much for all your input and your participation. Thanks to Laura and Katie. But what I'm really hearing from what we've gone through is that there is a growth for knowledge, and the knowing that that's out there, but you could get overwhelmed where the knowledge is. So I think the links that both Laura and Katie have on the presentation is brilliant. The other thing I'm thinking of, maybe we might do, Katie, and we can bring that back to the board, is that we put a special space up on the website for the community of practices, so that you can share all, because the knowledge, like there's so much out there, there's standards already that are out there, and we know ourselves, we're eating and drinking this on PMI, but if you're coming in new, it's where do I go for? Yeah. So maybe in our own Ireland chapter website, we can do links that fall into the ESG with a bit of a notice around it, so people can get the advice in terms of, and also Jackie Glynn has put in there something around advice for PMOs, so maybe we might include that in one of the next webinars in terms of how PMOs have that community practice, and maybe we could do a joint session between the two community practices. But lovely. What the one takeaway that I'm getting from this is absolutely there is an interest in it. So we're doing the right thing, creating the community of practice, and it's only just going to go onwards and upwards. So Katie, I'll maybe give it back to you as the head of community practice, if you have a final word to say.
No, only to echo that, Jackie. I think it's great to see the interest here. We're excited to have this kicked off and moving. We want to build on that momentum now. And so please do come back on that survey. I want to take a moment to thank you, Laura, for joining us today. Please do stay engaged with the Irish chapter, and fantastic to get your insights today. And thank you all for attending. It's been a really enjoyable event to run and communicate with you today on what we're doing.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thanks for kicking this off. Do you need me for anything?
No, just want to say, Laura, thank you so much. And to echo what Kate said, please do keep engaged with us, because we do need your help and assistance, and it just makes it so much easier that maybe we can collaborate with other chapters and bring them involved. And so please do, Laura. Thank you so much.
No, I will. Thank you for this opportunity, and no worry, I got you. I know you stuck with me now. So
absolutely, the more the merrier.
Yeah, no, thank you.
But it's also exciting to go on the journey together. So let's build it together, because it's percolating at other chapters. So yes, I will work to be that unifier.
Oh, brilliant. And that's really helpful, because you'll see other trends, Laura, that's happening in other countries where it might be, at a very, very early stage in Ireland, there might be somewhere else like the Nordics, I would guess, where it might, be a little bit more accelerated. So where we can just kind of see what that looks like and get on board with it would be super. And I think if you've any other, if you bump across other speakers that you think would be great to engage, because we can do more webinars, but we're just trying to make sure and manage and hit, what we plan to do this year and get the success of it. And I think what we have is fine. But if we get the right speakers, we'll happily organise
yeah,
more, you know.
Okay.
But it's great to get it kicked off, and thanks for your
It's
support, Jackie.
brilliant.
Again,
Thank you
to
so
hear.
much, Katie. I'm just,
Oh yeah,
I'm so
you did a
delighted. You can see it
wonderful
in my
job.
face. I'm chuffed.
No, you both did a wonderful job. And don't hesitate to reach out to Joel Carboni. He's the CEO of Green Project Management. He he's a great speaker, and of course this is a passion of his. So if you want to reach out to him cold, that's fine, but if you want an introduction, I'll give you an introduction for you. Just let me
Actually, Laura,
know.
it would be lovely if you could do an
Yeah,
introduction mail.